Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm Eva, this is Reading with Eva, and today we are doing our weekly open chat. If you are new to the channel, welcome, and if you have been here before, welcome home. If you are new here and you do not know what a open chat is, I will explain it very quickly. WIP stands for WIP stands for work in progress, and this one is mine. It is a diamond painting called Paint the Moon. I will show you what the picture looks like. So it is this one. So if you have been here before, you may have seen me work on this a couple of years ago because this got put away, and I just now took it out. So I checked my gems flow to see what kits I had currently as WIPs, and this was one of them. So they all got put onto a spinner reel, and this is one that was picked yesterday, and I need to finish the section that I'm on. So this was gifted to me a few years ago for my birthday from ML and Ollie. Thank you to them. So I'm going to finish it. It is actually a little further than I thought. We're not quite halfway. Like once I finish this section that we're on for today, then I will be about halfway done with this painting. And chat stands for chat, where we're going to just catch up. We will spend about an hour together talking about shows that I've watched and things like that. So we're going to go through some different things. We're going to catch up. I've been catching up on shows, so now I can actually share with y'all the shows that I've been catching up on. And we can do that and then talk about some shows that I will be reading or watching here in the very near future. We will also be talking about my currently reading. So that is kind of the format for this, kind of a life update, anything I'm reading, watching, or listening to, and then that will be basically the whole hour. So I'm going to go ahead and go through the stuff that I'm using today. So the kit itself is from Diamond Art Club. This was a Diamond Art Club piece that was on Amazon. I do not know if it is available any longer. It was exclusive to their Amazon storefront. So if you want this painting, I would look on the Amazon storefront. But I don't know if it's still available. Like I said, I got this a couple of years ago. This is a square painting, which I'm not great at squares. So if you notice that they're crooked, just don't look too closely. I have my Diamond Pen Pal custom Harley Quinn pen. This is one of my favorite pens. It is a chubby pen, and in the single placer I have my S'mores O Snap dots from O Snap Crafters Cafe. These are like scented glue dots. And in my multi-placer I have this putty from Randa's Crafty Corner called Hermione's Cauldron. I've had this putty for a few years as well. And then my tray that I'm using is my 2023 Drills and Chills tray from BG Bliss Designs Co. I am going to be ordering a 2025 one, and I'm so excited because the 2025 one, I believe the top of it glows in the dark, and then the inside is like a really sick, like Halloween green color. Like it's a really wonderful tray. Over here I have my trash minder, which has quite a bit of trash in it because it's the trash collected from all 4 of the kits I'm currently working on. And then I have my accessories tray that has my cutter, which I won't be using my cutter in this video at all because I have this covered in release paper. This was from an era in my diamond career where I just ripped off the plastic and covered it with release paper. So it had Diamond Art Club release paper on it that was very old and crinkly. So I just switched out the release paper, and I'll go over that in a minute. But this accessory tray has my trash minder, my putty, my tweezers, and my cutter, my clips, and my washi tape. And this and the trash minder are from Amazing Amazing Craft Shop, I think is what it's called. Amazing Creations, something like that. I'll have her link down below. I don't know if her shop is still open. And then this little cover binder matches it and is also from that shop, but I won't be using the cover binder. I just like to look at it. Okay, and then my release papers. These are my Drills and Chills release papers from 2023. And then you won't be able to see them because I have them further back on the painting, but I have some smaller release papers that are called Reading Dragons. They look like this. And both of these are from Crafts with Crashly. She no longer has an Etsy shop. It is an online website now, so like a standalone website. So if you want to order from her, I will have her linked down below as well, but she no longer sells on Etsy. I bought from her when she sold on Etsy, but she no longer sells on Etsy. And you can't get these Drills and Chills papers any longer because these are from 2023. So I believe she has 2025 papers though, if you want those. Okay, let's zoom you in so we can get started, and I will start our timer as well. Let me see how far over we are going. All the way over here. Okay, so I'm going to move y'all just a little bit. I did charge my microphone this morning, so hopefully we won't have the same issue we had last week where the quality of our audio changed halfway through, but we're gonna see what happens. All right, so I have my 1 hour timer started, so let's start chatting. So we'll start with a little life update while I grab a color. I guess we'll start with this Y, which is a nice purple. Okay, so let's chat about life. Okay, so Ari has been back at school now for a couple of months. They started school in August, and today, while I'm filming this, is actually her first picture day. She was not very excited about picture day. I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's just because she's in 3rd grade, she doesn't want her picture taken. She's not a huge lover of having her picture taken, so that could be part of it. Hopefully she smiles nicely because I would like to actually order pictures this year if possible. I've not ordered pictures the last few years just because I don't really feel like kids truly come into their own until later on. I could go back and still order like older pictures from her school. The problem is that I don't think I'll be able to get preschool or kindergarten pictures because, or not preschool, she didn't do preschool, kindergarten or 1st grade pictures because she went to a different school district and the way that they had to order pictures was very confusing, and so I just didn't. Also, no one was super invested in having, like, family-wise, was super invested in having, like, kindergarten or 1st grade pictures. They didn't, like, her 1st grade pictures, she had cut her shirt, like, sometime during the school day, and so by the time pictures were taken, her shirt was cut in them, and then her kindergarten pictures just didn't come out very well, but I chalked that up to her being, like, literally in kindergarten, so I'm not too pressed that I don't have kindergarten or 1st grade pictures. I think some people might be, because I know I have friends that order pictures every single year. I just don't necessarily find that to be necessary. I personally didn't really like my kindergarten and 1st grade school pictures, so yeah, I just don't find it to be super necessary. I had a drink and I don't know where I put it, so that's a problem. Anyhow, so I'm trying to think if there's anything else life-wise. It is getting closer to Halloween, so we've been finalizing Halloween costumes. Yeah, we've been finalizing our Halloween costumes, so my stuff has to be actually, like, ordered because I'm going as one of my favorite singers for Halloween. Ari's is getting picked up at Walmart because she wants to be Princess Peach this year. Last year, she had said she wanted to be Princess Peach, and she ended up being something else. What was she last year for Halloween? It was not Princess Peach. I'm trying to think what she went as for Halloween last year. I'll have to look back at pictures because I did take pictures of her, but I do not remember off the top of my head. The year before, she went as a witch. I know that. And she didn't go as a witch last year because the year before we were in Indiana. So in 2023, we were in Indiana, and she went as a witch because I bought her entire costume off Amazon because it came with like a broom. It had like the outfit and the broom, and then I put her leggings and a long sleeve shirt underneath it for her because that was the year that I went as Chucky. And then last year I went as Harley Quinn, but I can't remember what Ari went as off the top of my head. So that's great. But then she had said last year that she wished she had gone as Princess Peach. So I asked her this year what she wanted to do, and she said she wants to be Princess Peach. So she wants to be Princess Peach. I might have to change out my putty because it is acting like it's not sticky. Anyhow, so yeah, so that is kind of where we are with that. But there's not like a lot else really going on. Let me think. I'm going to switch out my putty really quick, and then I'll be right back. Okay. Hello, I'm back. All right. I'm going to open this, so a little ASMR for you. Anyhow, so let's talk about shows. So I have been back to watching HBO Max. So for anyone who's new here, I love reality TV. And HBO Max, since merging with the Discovery Networks, is where I watch most of my like reality TV and crime shows. So let's go over the ones I've been catching up on because I'm a little bit behind on some of them. I kind of took a break from watching TV. This happens. Yeah, I kind of just took a break from it. I will do that. So because if I'm reading a lot or choosing to watch YouTube instead of like actual TV, then it kind of eats into my TV time. However, I knew that Sister Wives was coming back on Sunday. So the week that I'm filming this, or the day that I'm filming this, is Friday the 28th, 27th, 26th, I don't know. 26th. Friday the 26th. And the new season of Sister Wives starts this Sunday, which is the 28th. And Brittany had gotten a hold of me and asked, because we watch Sister Wives together, so basically we watch Sister Wives and then we message each other. And so she was like, hey, like, are you going to watch the new season of Sister Wives? And I was like, absolutely. So I was like, you know what? I should probably just get on to HBO Max and just kind of catch up on the other things that I'm behind on. So we have new episodes of Playboy Murders. I can't really tell you a lot about the show other than what it is. It is hosted by, is it Holly Madison? I'm pretty sure it's Holly Madison that hosts it. I'm looking because I cannot remember. I'm pretty sure it's Holly Madison. So, yeah, and it's basically about crimes, specifically murders, that have been linked, either that have been, like, committed to by Playboy bunnies, or they are about Playboy bunnies that have been murdered, but somehow they're linked to Playboy and the mansion and all of that. It's actually really interesting, especially if you are a person who grew up, you know, knowing about Playboy. I think that for a lot of, like, 60s to 90s little girls, Playboy was kind of this elusive thing that we all like strived for. I know I did, and I was born in the 90s. So, yeah, but that is what that is. So I've been watching that. There's also a new season of Evil Lives Here. This is my all-time favorite crime show, like ever to exist. And I absolutely love the show. Like it's my favorite. This is a show. It's a documentary style show or an interview style show where they talk to family members or friends or even victims of these people that have been impacted by someone's crime. So like I think it was John Wayne Gacy's daughter, I think. John Wayne Gacy, I think, is the one that was the clown. And his daughter did an episode where they interviewed her. And so good. Like, it's one of my favorite shows. They've done an episode on the FLDS. What is his name? Warren Jeffs. They've done an episode on him and had people that are like ex-cult members with that do interviews. But I just think it's a very informative way of finding out. Also, it's less dramatized. I don't love a super dramatized crime show, like true crime show, which is why I've kind of fallen off of watching, like, what is that called? Deadly Women or whatever that is, because I feel like Deadly Women is so dramatized. I will watch Fear Thy Neighbor, even though that is really dramatized as well, just because the way that they dramatize it is a little bit different. But I don't like a super dramatized true crime show. I really do prefer it to be more of a documentary style, like we get to the point and talk about the crime kind of a show, and that's what that's more like what Evil Lives Here is. It's less dramatized. So I've been watching that as well. And then we have a new season of 90 Day Fiancé Happily Ever After. So let me explain how the 90 Day Fiancé franchise works or the 90 Day franchise rather works, in case you've never been on my channel and heard me talk about the 90 Day shows. So the original show was 90 Day Fiancé. This is pretty cut and dry. We meet an American who has met someone from another country, and that person comes over to America from their country and marries the American within the 90 days, or they have to go home, right? Okay, very cut and dry. They have had a bunch of spinoffs, and Happily Ever After was one of the first spinoffs that they did, where they brought old cast members back after their marriages were completed. So some of these people got divorced, some of them stayed married. It just kind of depended. It was almost like a Where Are They Now style show of continuing to follow these couples after the marriage was completed, and like the struggles and things that they've gone through. So we are on, let me see, we are on season, I'm trying to see what season we're on. We're on season 9 at this point of Happily Ever After. So we are back with Gino and Jasmine. So last year we had another season of couples therapy, which was another spinoff that started in 2023. So couples therapy, the first season of that was in 2023. And basically we were catching a glimpse into some of the 90 Day franchise couples that were really struggling in their marriages. And so they went to this resort, and now it's not like a private resort, I'll say that. Like, there were other guests because there was some drama with like fighting and stuff, disturbing like actual real guests of this resort. So it's not like a 90 Day resort where like 90 Day or TLC has like taken this resort and just booked it just for the 90-day people. It's like an all-inclusive resort, and they do couples therapy. And the goal at the end is to decide if these couples are going to renew their vows or if they're going to choose to separate and get divorced. So some of the couples have been very successful and have been able to work through their differences and come together and be together at the end. And some of them have inevitably decided to divorce and break up, which of course is always sad, especially when you're like following, you know, these couples for a while and you feel like you're rooting for them, right? So we did have some breakups in the last season for sure, but Gino and Jasmine were in the last season of couples therapy, so we're back to following them on Happily Ever After. And the way that their couples therapy kind of concluded is that Jasmine, I suppose you could say, gave Gino an ultimatum. I don't know that I necessarily think it was an ultimatum. Jasmine requested that they open their marriage after doing the couples therapy. And one of the therapists on couples therapy is a polyamorous woman and is polyamorous with her husband. And she shares this with Jasmine and Gino because Gino uses sex as a pawn with Jasmine, and it's actually pretty gross, like the way that he uses it to control behaviors and things. But he basically is like, well, I can't have sex with you because you don't behave. That's kind of where this went. So Jasmine requested that they have an open relationship. So now we are navigating the aftermath of that. And I feel that the person that Gino has chosen to have an open relationship with, first of all, in no way is he doing the non-monogamy part of their marriage ethically, which is really bothering me as a person who has practiced ethical non-monogamy and does consider myself to be a non-monogamous person. Like I'm in a monogamous relationship, but I can do it either way, right? I can be monogamous or not. So that is kind of where that sits. But Gino is not doing this ethically. We already know, like within the first episode, that the woman that he's gone off to see, Jasmine, has no idea that he's going to see her, which is not how open relationships work. Jasmine has been open about who she is seeing and dating, which it's only this one man. I think his name is Matt. He seems fine. Like, he doesn't mean anything to me at this point. But like, that's the whole thing. And Gino constantly is screaming about Jasmine is cheating or has cheated, but never really has any evidence to that. So like, it's very, I don't know. It's all very strange. And I feel like when things don't go the way Gino wants them to, he screams and he cries. But also tries to manipulate situations to be the way that he wants, and it just, I don't know, something about it bothers me. But we're following Gino and Jasmine. We're also following Darcy. Is it Darcy? We're following Tiger Lily and Adnan. So we met them a couple of seasons ago, maybe one season ago, in 90 Day Fiancé The Other Way, I think, was where I first saw them. It's possible that I had missed some 90 Day episodes and I just didn't see them in that, but I remember them being introduced in The Other Way. So The Other Way is literally the opposite of 90 Day Fiancé, and it's where the American moves to the other country. And Tiger Lily is older, I think like in her 40s, and then Adnan is like in his 20s, I think. I'm going to be honest, I don't pay a lot of attention to ages because there's usually a relatively large age gap. There's some that there's not, but most of them have some kind of an age gap one way or the other, and I just don't care enough to pay attention to everyone's ages. Because like there is also an age gap between like Gino and Jasmine. Jasmine is much younger than Gino, but it doesn't really, that aspect of it doesn't really bother me. There's only been a couple of instances in this show where the age gap kind of made me be like, oh, you know what I'm saying, where it was like, it felt predatory almost, but the couples that I'm talking about today, none of them feel super predatory to me, so it doesn't really bother me. Or at least they don't feel predatory as far as like the age gap. So Tiger Lily is an American woman. She's very well off. I believe she has children, but she's been married once before, and she got a large settlement during her divorce, I believe, which is why she's very well off. Her first husband was very abusive. I'm seeing some similarities between her first husband and Adnan. But anyway, Adnan is from a Middle Eastern country. I don't remember which one off the top of my head, but he's very religious. I think he's a Muslim, but he's very religious and kind of wants Tiger Lily to do what he wants Tiger Lily to do. He's pretty controlling, in my opinion, and it kind of rubs me the wrong way, but okay, so we're following them again. I don't really dislike Tiger Lily. I feel a little bad for her. I think she doesn't see the red flags, but she claims to be happy, so I want to believe that she is, because I do root for all of the couples, if I'm honest. We are back with Lizzie and Andre as well. So Andre is from Moldova, and they're talking about actually in this first episode of moving to Moldova, because at this point Andre has been in America for 7 years, so their whole marriage. I do think that Elizabeth or Lizzie kind of goes back and forth about whether she wants to move or not, and I think, in my opinion, I think that it's fair for them to try to live in Moldova. I only say this because Andre did sacrifice living here for 7 years, and I do think that in a marriage there has to be some give and take. And I just feel like, and I do try to put myself in the shoes of the people in this show, the Americans and the foreign, the foreigners' sides of each couple, because I do think that it's legitimate that the people moving from their country to America are going to definitely be homesick. And I do think that Elizabeth has legitimate fears. I do think that it is like legitimate fears that she has about certain things. I also think that research would help in a lot of these cases. I feel like some of the Americans, actually a lot of them, honestly, that move from America to their partner's country, they don't do research. Like, they just want their partner to educate them, and I feel like it's ignorant. If I'm moving somewhere, I don't care if it's another state or another country, I am known to do research on that place before moving there, because I want to know, like, what accommodations there are or whatever like that. And all of that. So I feel like it's a little bit I feel like it's a little bit ignorant to just be like, well, you tell me about your country and I'll just wing it. I don't know. Especially when we have Americans moving to Middle Eastern countries or European countries where the culture is much different, I just feel like you should take the time to do your research on the culture at the very least. But okay. And then let's see. We also have Lauren and Alex, or Lauren and Alexi. So Alexi basically just goes by Alex, so I'm just going to call him Alex. That is what Lauren calls him the most often. I think the only time that he's ever really called Alexi is when we have his parents on screen, which his parents are so cute and wonderful. But he's from Israel, and Lauren is from Florida, and they met through a mission trip, I think, that Lauren went on to Israel. And they've had their ups and downs throughout the years, but I do think that they are one of, actually they are. They are. Okay, no, I don't think. They are one of my favorite couples on the show. They definitely have had their issues culture-wise and stuff like that. And so they've had their issues culture-wise, and Alex doesn't always say things very well, but I love them, like, as a couple. I really do love them. So they have children, I think 3 children. And then we have Jovi and Yara. Jovi has never been my favorite person. Jovi's never been my favorite. So Yara is from Ukraine, and some people have believed, there's been fan theories. In my opinion, they've been debunked, especially since Yara and Jovi did go to the last resort as well. And they have a child together at this point. They went last season when Jasmine and Gino went. But some people were under the impression that this was like an arrangement, like essentially like I don't like this term, but like a mail order bride situation, like basically where Yara was, like, Joey told Yara that he was going to provide for her, and then basically she was just going to live like high on the hog. Now, I will say that Joey made some promises that he did not keep. I am glad that they stayed married because I do like them as a couple. Joey kind of gets on my nerves because he will do things that purposely upset Yara sometimes, knowing that they will upset her. And he is a little bit of a mama's boy. I will say that. But for the most part, I really do like them. They have a child together, a daughter, I believe. And she's super cute. So I do like them as a couple. And let me see if there's anyone else that I missed. Oh, Cara and Guillermo. I don't like them. I'm going to be honest. They're not... I was introduced to them, I think, in 90 Days the Other Way. I think Cara moved back. I think Cara moved to his country for a while. Ecuador, maybe? It's a Spanish-speaking country. She moved there for a while, and then they moved back to America. I find her to be relatively whiny, and I find him to be relatively spoiled. And I don't mean spoiled like... Cara takes care of him spoiled, because I think that that's fine to a certain extent. I mean that he seems to think that he should just have everything in America without really having to do anything for it. It's an entitlement thing, and I don't love that. I don't love the entitlement. I think that it's actually relatively annoying, and yeah, because there was some pushback after he got his, what is it called? After he got his visa and was able to work, he didn't want to work for a while, and I don't love it, okay? And I understand if you have an arrangement with your partner, because I've been in this position. I do YouTube full-time, as a lot of y'all know, so I'm not even dissing people that like work from home or maybe are stay-at-home parents or whatever, but Guillermo is young. I think he's less than 30. Cara is closer to my age, so I'm 33 for reference. Cara is around my age, and Guillermo is younger. I think he's not 30. Like, I think he's like 28 or 29. And so they had a child together, and after they were married, and Guillermo in the first episode is complaining about how, like, their intimate life is not the same, which, sir, like, it's not going to be. Okay? Y'all have a small child. Like, it's not going to be. Even me, where Ari is 8, and it's much different than if she wasn't here, or if she was, like, older, or whatever. But I don't know. He just comes off as very entitled to me, and I don't love it, but that's fine. I don't love their sections, but I do still watch them. I don't fast forward. And then we have Darcy and Georgie. And I like Darcy. I've always liked Darcy. She's a fun time. I don't know about Georgie. I'm a little bit on the fence with Darcy and Stacy's husbands. I'm trying to think which one of them was actually at couples therapy. I'm pretty sure it was Stacy. Yeah, because her husband looks different. So Darcy and Stacy are twins, and they've both been on different episodes of different spin-offs. I believe Darcy is the one that started on this show on 90 Day Fiancé. She's dated a few different foreign men, and now she's with Georgie. Darcy and Georgie have been off and on for like 7 or 8 years, and they have only been married for about a year. Stacy's been with her husband longer than that. They've been married longer than that, but don't really like him that much. But they were on couples therapy, and then Darcy had to come and like do some therapy with them. It was kind of a shit show, but I do like them. I do root for them as a couple. And yeah, Julia, it looks like Brian and Julia will be on later in the season. I haven't seen them yet. Let's see if there's anyone else that I'm missing. That like maybe I just haven't seen yet. So Julia and Brandon will be on later in the season. They had some serious issues when they were on couples therapy with fertility talks and things like that. It actually kind of broke my heart for them a little bit, because I do like them as a couple. I think that they're good for each other. I just think that they're young and that they have had some issues that they've not resolved. I also think that Brandon tends to hide behind his parents, because his parents will forever go to bat for him, which, okay. But it does make me sad for Julia, because she doesn't really have anyone in America family-wise. And so I think she feels isolated sometimes by the fact that Brandon's parents will always stick up for Brandon. She doesn't feel like she really has anyone in her corner, and it does make me sad for her. But I think that is it. As far as, yeah, that is it so far, because I'm only like an episode in. So, loving that. I'm also watching the new season of Other Way. So, 90 Day Fiancé, The Other Way. And for this, we are following some people I've never seen before. So, we have Chloe and Johnny. I've never seen them. I don't know if this is their first time. It's gotta be, because I've watched every season of The Other Way. So we have Chloe and Johnny, and Johnny is from Aruba, and Chloe's decided she's gonna move to Aruba, and Johnny is a pirate. He works on a pirate ship. And Johnny decides that Chloe decides she's going to move to Aruba. Now, Johnny is like 32, I think, and Chloe is 23. Johnny's a playboy, y'all. Okay, I don't like Johnny at all. He annoys the crap out of me. He claims that he doesn't know if Chloe is ready for commitment, but honestly, I think he's not ready for commitment, so we'll see how that goes. She's been told by multiple people in her life, Chloe has, to not move, but she's not listening. So there's that. Then we have Ginny and Submit, or Sami. I'm not quite sure how we say his name because Jenny says it both ways. So I'm not sure if she calls him Sami when she's like being affectionate. I don't know. I've heard it said both ways, but his parents seem to say Submit, like with a hard T. We've been following them for like 25 years at this point. Not really 25 years because that would be illegal. They've been together like 15 years or something. But Submit's parents don't like Jenny because there is a big age gap there. And it's kind of a crazy age gap. It doesn't really bother me, I guess. Like, Jenny's older than his parents, I think. But, they moved back in, or not moved back in, because I never lived with his parents to begin with, but they moved in with his parents, and so now it is Jenny, Submit's brother, and his sister-in-law, and then their children. It's a shit show, truthfully. It's a shit show. I don't know how this is going to go, because Jenny and Submit's mom have only just started like getting along, and I feel like them all living together is a disaster. But we'll see how that goes throughout the season. Okay, the next couple that we have that I've never seen before are Manon, and I don't remember what her husband's name is. Their son's name is Anthony. Manon and Anthony. So I've never seen them before, but Manon is from France, and she moved to America to pursue modeling. She's a plus size model. And when she moved to California, to LA, she met Anthony then. So, so she met him then. And they married and had a child and all that. Okay, so they're talking about moving back to France. That's why they're on the other way. Because Manon is a bit homesick, I think, and also in LA, she has a lot of business ventures going on, and she feels like she's not super present with her family, and feels like if they move back to France, that she'll be able to be more present with her child and her husband. Their marriage is also kind of rocky, which I think is another reason that she's hoping to move and regroup. However, France, when she lived there before, even her own family is not super accepting of the fact that she is a plus size woman. So it is sad to see her struggle with that, because when she tells her friends that are part of her modeling agency and stuff that they're moving, they do ask her about that, because they do worry for her that, like, and she's even said that, like, her grandpa has asked, like, how she ended up with Anthony, because how could a girl like her end up with a guy like him, type of a thing, because Anthony is, I guess, kind of like athletic built. He's a smaller or more average size man, and I just think that it's kind of gross, especially when, like, your own family is body shaming you. It's disgusting. I think body shaming in general, whether you're skinny, whether you're plus size, whatever, I think it's gross. As a person who has been body shamed for being too small, I think it's a weird thing. But they're talking about moving to France, so that's what we're following with them. I'm not super far into this. There's only 3 episodes of the show at this point, and I'm only on episode 2. So, and then we have Luke. I don't remember who Luke is with. Madeline. Okay, so Madeline and Luke. So Luke is from America, and he's moving. I don't remember where Madeline is from. Colombia. Yeah? Yeah, Colombia. So Luke is going to Colombia to marry Madeline, and I don't know if I'm rooting for them as a couple. They have a lot of issues, like a lot of issues. And I don't know that they're going to be able to work through them. Madeline wants the finer things in life. She wants all of the things all the time, but also is very disparaging of like Luke and who he is as a person and like his character. And I just feel like if you don't think that you need the man, why do you have the man? You know, I just feel like if you think that you're better off doing things on your own, maybe you just should. I don't know. It's a very strange dynamic, and I don't know that it's going to work out well for Luke in the long run, just because of how Madeline tends to talk about him and tends to treat him. But we'll see as we'll see how it progresses after he like gets to Colombia. I just feel like the dynamic feels toxic to me. But we'll see how that goes. I'm also watching the new season of Welcome to Plathville. I have so many thoughts on this show. So I've talked about this show before. Currently on HBO Max, you can only watch season 7. You cannot watch old seasons. I don't know where you would stream them. I've watched seasons 1 through 6, so I'm not worried about it. I was up to date before season 7 started, but at this point, Olivia and Ethan are divorced, and they've been, or they're trying to get divorced. So we saw them get divorced throughout seasons like 4 through 6-ish. We saw their divorce proceedings, and there was something wrong with the paperwork not getting filled out correctly, so they're still dealing with that. Ethan is in a new relationship at this point. Isaac is in a relationship. Who else is in a relationship? Lydia is married. Like, she gets married to her boyfriend, Zach, in the first couple of episodes. Well, this whole thing is their wedding. I am caught up on this at this point. We are on episode 10, and I am completely caught up. But then episode 9, they got married, Zach and Lydia. And then Ethan is with Tegan. Veronica and Micah are still together. And here's the thing. I'm seeing things happening with Veronica that are similar to what happened with Olivia. The difference that I'm having is that I feel like Veronica looks for conflict. I don't feel like Olivia necessarily looked for conflict. I think that Olivia saw the conflict and saw the issues, but tried to keep the peace. Veronica had conflict with a couple of family members and then decided that she was having beef with every family member. I felt like Olivia was a victim of the Plaths. I feel like Veronica victimized herself and then was like, well, I'm also a victim of the Plaths. I'm giving grace because I do follow both Olivia and Veronica on social media. So I've seen the things that they have both posted on their situations. And while I think there are some parallels, I also think that Veronica created a toxic environment while Olivia did not. And I think Veronica decided she wanted out, which is fine, but instead of just getting out, she created a toxic environment and tried to take Micah with her. And at the end of the day, Mike is not going to do that. Unfortunately fortunately, I don't know, for the Plath family children, their siblings were their first and only friends for a very long time. And because of that, they are very loyal to their family. Whether that's good, bad, or indifferent, it doesn't really matter. I think that their family has some toxic traits to it anyway, but I do think that Veronica is a big catalyst to the way that the dynamic is working against her. And I didn't feel that way about Olivia. I felt like Olivia was like actually a victim, and was then trying to make things work and just could not do it successfully. I don't think that Veronica really even tries to make anything work. She's just decided, oh, well, you did this to me, so eye for an eye. And in my opinion, in families, toxic or not, dysfunctional or not, that's not how it works if you want to actually be part of a family dynamic. And honestly, I also feel like if you decide that you do not want to be part of someone's family, then you leave. You don't burn it to the ground as you go. I don't think that that is your job, and I also think that that's a really good way for karma to come back to you. So we'll see how this proceeds, and how I feel about it later. I am sad for Veronica that she feels like she doesn't have anybody in the Plath family in her corner. I do feel bad for that, but I do think that some of this is Veronica's own making. And she says super disparaging things about people that aren't true. And so because of that she also has like zero proof for. And so because of that, she's created a victim of herself. And I don't love a victim mentality. So we'll see. She claims that TLC edited a lot of it to make her look really bad. I think that that's also possible, but I also think that there has to be some accountability taken somewhere. And while I do think that Olivia in particular, because that's who I'm kind of having to compare this to, while I do believe that Olivia in a lot of cases was a victim of the Plaths, she also took responsibility for things that she didn't do correctly, or maybe that she stayed in the marriage with Ethan for too long. She took responsibility for that. And so Olivia's had a lot of self-awareness that Veronica has not had. And I think that we have to have self-awareness of where our screw-up is in the dynamic too, and not just blame everyone else. That's just my opinion. I also feel like Veronica has much more of an echo chamber around her than Olivia did. Olivia, like I said, has had self-awareness, and she has taken some responsibility for the things that she feels like she may have not done right, or maybe could have done better. And Veronica doesn't have that self-awareness, even with them her and Micah going to couples therapy. And yeah, so I just feel like it's messy. But I am enjoying being back with the Plaths. I don't necessarily like all the Plaths, but it is an interesting show, and the dynamics between the people in the show are very interesting. I'm just trying to see. And then I've been watching Poly Family as well. This one is a new one. I think we're still on, I don't know, are we on season 1 still, or have we done season 2? Yeah, we're on season 1. I am almost done with this. I have one more episode of season 1, and then I'm caught up. But this is following a polyamorous family of its 2 couples. So we have Taya, and we have Alyssa and Sean. And then we have Taya and Tyler? No, we have Alyssa and Tyler are married, and then Sean and Taya are married. And then Sean and Alyssa are dating, and Tyler and Taya are dating. Okay, so they are a polycule. They're a little quad. And yeah, some people have a lot of problems with this because, like, there's a pretty large age gap between Taya and Sean. Again, age gaps don't really bother me unless I feel like there's toxicity somewhere else, or there's toxicity around the age gap. I don't necessarily think that they have toxicity around their age gap. I will also say that, like, polyamory and non-monogamy tend to have their own challenges. Yeah, they tend to have their own challenges. So I am not really one, as someone who's been in a polycule, who's been non-monogamous, I don't tend to judge too harshly the way that your dynamic works, unless it's like clearly really toxic for you or for your children. I do think that Alyssa has a hang-up around intimacy between partners. There's a lot of insecurity with Alyssa. I'm a little confused when it comes to Alyssa, why she agreed to be in a polycule, because I feel like she's constantly in conflict with someone in the polycule. Like, we're in the quad. They're calling it a quad. So that's what we're going to call it. We're going to call it a quad. But I feel like Alyssa in particular is always at odds with someone in the quad. And so I'm confused a little bit as to where the fulfillment for her is in being in the quad. Like, is the fulfillment the children? Like, I don't know. I'm a little bit confused because she's constantly, both her and Taya are plus size women. I think, like, personality wise, they're very different, but they have a lot of similarities. But for some reason, the presence of Taya causes a lot of insecurity in Alyssa. And so I just kind of worry watching the show, like I said, where the fulfillment for Alyssa comes from. But those are the shows I've been watching. I know it was a lot of information. And I'm enjoying all of them, to be honest. But let's kind of transition, and we'll talk a little bit about books I'm reading. I'm actually going to pull up my story graph so we can kind of go over those. Because I am currently reading an arc. I've been doing a lot of mood reading in September just because that's what's been comfortable for me to do. I've not really been... I'm trying to stick to my TBR, but... So we're going to kind of go over that. So technically, Scythe and Sparrow, Murder Between Friends are both on my September-October TBR. Because I'm doing a joint TBR since we're doing Vlogoween. I am doing a September and October TBR. It's all one, and I did 10 books. So Murder Between Friends is the book that I picked for the arc that I needed to read, because one of the prompts that I got was an arc. And this one is pretty good. I think it's YA. I'm going to check because I'm pretty sure it's YA. Yeah, it's a YA thriller about a murder that happened. A teacher in this town was murdered, and there's this group of friends. So we have Henry, we have Grace, Henry, and Allie. They all grew up together on the same block. They were best friends. And then Grace gave testimony after a teacher was murdered that put Henry's older brother in prison. And put him in prison for killing their English teacher. This book takes place 2 years in the future. I think the lighting changed. That was really weird. Did the lighting change? Hopefully I'm filming. Okay, I'm definitely filming. That was really weird. Okay, I think the lighting just changed. But anyhow, what was I saying? I don't even remember. But let me change my battery really quick, and then we'll be right back. Okay, so as I was saying, they all grew up together. Jake got put away for that. And this book takes place 2 years after Jake is put into prison for the murder of their teacher. And at this point, Allie and Henry are still friends, but Grace is not. And Grace starts to doubt if she actually saw Jake that night. So she says that she for sure saw his jacket, but now that she's thinking about it, she's not sure that she saw his face. And so this is kind of the aftermath of that. Jake has been released. And Jake is released due to a mistrial. There's like a technicality that happens between, I think, the judge and one of the lawyers or something. And he's released. And so they're working now while they're waiting for him to be retried. They are waiting for, or they're trying to figure out who actually killed this teacher, because Henry and Allie are absolutely convinced that Jake did not do this, but also Allie doesn't want to work with Grace, but she's decided that she's going to anyway. Yeah. So, yeah, because it says, it feels like everyone's getting a second chance. Then, when due to a mistrial, Jake is suddenly released, and Henry knows his brother is innocent. But when Grace reaches out to say she's rethinking what she saw the night of the murder, Jake's reaction is confusing. He doesn't want Henry or Grace getting involved. For Allie, not getting involved isn't an option, and there's nothing Grace can say to convince Allie she's not the enemy. But can Allie afford to push Grace out when she's not one of the only other people willing to believe in Jake's innocence? The clock is ticking. Jake's new trial date is about to be set, and he's sure to be found guilty again unless there's new evidence to prove he's innocent. Grace, Henry, and Allie are going to have to decide whether you can trust an old friend now that they're your enemy. So, it's been a fun read so far. It's to me, the writing is a little similar to like A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. And I just like the element of like trying to solve this mystery. Obviously, it's a little bit far-fetched because children probably aren't going to be the ones to solve mysteries like this. But yeah, I am enjoying that. I'm also still reading Fucking Strong. That will come out soon in a vlog. I'm just really savoring my time with these characters. I need to just finish. I only have a couple of hours left, and I'm really just dragging my feet because I don't want it to be over. And then, what else are we reading? Scythe and Sparrow. I am still reading Scythe and Sparrow. I talked a little bit about this in Vlogoween, but it's fine. It's probably going to be like a 4.5, 4.75 is what I'm kind of feeling. It's definitely not going to be as good for me as Butcher and Blackbird. I feel like Butcher and Blackbird was the strongest of the three, but it could change. I'm not super far into Scythe and Sparrow. I'm only like 20-ish%. So that could change for me at some point that I'm like, oh, actually, it's on par. Leather and Lark was not my favorite out of the three. So I'm also starting The Air. I know I keep saying this, but I'm actually going to start the audiobook for it next week. I've been mood reading, and with mood reading comes not necessarily wanting to read books that I need to read, even though they need to get read. Sometimes that happens to me, but I think I'm finally at a place where I want to start The Air. I had tried to start it a couple of different times, and I just wasn't really in the mood. And I don't want to force myself to read books that I'm not in the mood for, just simply because if I do that, I'm not going to enjoy them. So, yeah, but as far as listening to, it's the same music all the time, friends. I'm getting ready to possibly go, or hopefully go to an Alexander K concert, so I've been listening to the few songs that we have out already on her new album that comes out in October. And then I've also been listening to Priscilla Block's new album, the few songs that we have from that's also coming out in October. And, of course, listening to Savannah Dexter, because we love her in this house. But that is really all that I have. I didn't quite get this section done. I'm almost done. So I am probably going to sit here and finish it after I'm done filming here. But it has been a bit over an hour. So I'm going to go now. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know down below if you were working on a WIP this week and what you were working on. Let me know what you're reading. Otherwise, you can just leave one of our secret handshake emojis down below. If you're new here, that is any color heart or the pink bow tie emoji. You can, or pink bow emoji. You can leave those down below. And I will see y'all very soon somewhere else on the internet. Bye.